can run from Suspiria.
This is Harrison Smith, director and writer of Death House, Camp Dread, and Zombie Killers. I also produced and wrote The Fields with Cloris Leachman and Tara Reid, and 6 Degrees of Hell. I started the Horror 101 list because I got a very bizarre tweet one time. Somebody telling me that I should look at making a film version of the TV series Scream. So I made a Building Blocks 101 kind of list for horror. This doesn't mean it's everything that's out there, nor does it mean that I'm including all cult films or maybe something that's your personal favorite. What I'm saying is these are the DNA, the building blocks of the genre that goes all the way back to the 1920s. I hope you like the list, and my thanks to the Dorkening for promoting it.
Hey everybody, I'm Kevin, and welcome to the Dorkening. You're watching our very special Horror 101 segment. Today we're talking about a movie called Suspiria. Now this was added to the list by our good friend Harrison Smith, director of the upcoming Death House. And I'm joined by a couple friends here. We're going to talk about this movie. So who do we have here with us today?
Well, I'm the 13th Wolfman, and this is a film that I've loved over years. We'll get into it in a minute. And the other person that's joined us. Side. Yeah, exactly.
Hi, I'm Kimberly, and this is my first time actually seeing this movie.
Cool. So that's definitely a good fresh set of eyes to see what you take from now. Like if we've Wolfie and I have seen it over the years. Wolfie's probably seen it more than I have, to be honest with you. But seeing it in the past and watching it again. You definitely kind of look at things a little bit differently, but I was going to give a quick synopsis of the movie. So a newcomer to a fancy ballet academy gradually comes to realize that the school is a front for something far more sinister and supernatural amidst a series of grisly murders. And the reason why Harrison included this in his list, Dario Argento's masterpiece of the supernatural, social paranoia, and dread, noted for its brilliant use of colors and cinematography. It boasts a scary script, excellent acting, and hailed as one of the greatest horror films ever made. And he also adds at the end, unfortunately, it is set for a remake at the time of this writing. So they're looking at remaking this movie, which I don't know if that would really work.
I think they did, and I think Katie Holmes is in it.
Really?
Yes. And since nobody's heard of it, I don't think that fared very well.
So it was already made?
I'm pretty sure that
I heard that there was supposed to be a remake, but I never heard whether or not it finally went into production or anything. I mean, I do remember Katie Holmes being attached to it, but I don't know if it was ever,
So Wolfie, why don't you go into a little bit, because you said you love this movie. Go into.
I love this movie.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So again, like you said, Dario Argento made this movie, and one of the things that I fell in love with this movie was the color palette. Argento likes to use a lot of bright, bold, vivid colors, and for horror films, that's like the complete opposite. It's usually muted. It's usually dreary. Not here. And Jessica Harper does a great job playing Susan. I don't know, man. Everything about this, it's just got this real eerie feeling to it. He got the Italian rock band Goblin to do the soundtrack, and the music haunts you even after the movie's over. Yeah, I still hear that music box sound in my head, which is saying something. Yeah, everything about this. So, I mean, this is the first of the Three Mothers trilogy that Argento came out with. So it's Suspiria, Inferno, and Mother of Tears, and we find out who's running the academy in this movie, and it's her, and like each other story is one of her sisters.
Huh. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, me neither.
It's very interesting. It's good to have someone on the show that knows so much about things.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it also just points out how little I know. So I appreciate that. But no, sure. I agree with you though. The color and the vibrance of the color, like the blood is so red. It's like, it's obvious. I mean, it's very visually stimulating. You know,
Yeah.
it really, you know, catches your eye. Even, you know, if there's a point where there's like a lull or whatever, like you'll see like something with the lighting or something with just like the color palette itself, and that'll definitely bring you back into it.
They even have a room called. At one point someone says, "Meet me in the yellow room." It's a yellow room. I mean, it's just kind of funny that, you know, Argento was the one that wrote it with his girlfriend at the time, and so they know that he's got this look. So they had to put in, you know, the yellow room. They couldn't just say, "Hey, meet me in," you know, the gym over there or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the yellow room. It's just to give you that stimulation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But even like some of the scenes, like, you know, when they're in the like the gymnasium, whatever, and they're going to bed, and just like the way that they use the lighting behind the curtains and everything, it just and then the music as well. I mean, the music, like you said, it's very memorable, and a lot of it reminded me of other things. Like I was like, like those parts where I felt like this sounds a little bit like something that was used in like a Faith No More song or a Mr. Bungle song or something, like in the background kind of. And I'm wondering if it is, because I know that they're big movie fans and stuff. But
Definitely.
what about you, Kimberly? What did you like about it?
Well, you know, it was really surprising. So the movie starts off very dark. It's in the rain. It's at nighttime. It's an American in a foreign place. She can't get a cab, and then all of a sudden she gets to the academy, and you're right. All of a sudden it's bright red, it's bright blues, it's these colors that are fantastic. It's a lot of very symmetrical rooms with very odd shapes in it, and yeah, and the look on Jessica Harper, so the innocence of the main character, it makes me even more freaked out, because she's just so doll-like throughout it, and she's just seeing this stuff happen. And, you know, when bad goes bad, it's like, oh my God, what is happening here? And yeah, I thought it was amazing. I really did. I thought visually it just kept grabbing me. And although I didn't feel that fear, I just was like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? So that suspense part of it really got me. And you're right. You can kind of, I think, now that I think about it, a lot of it did remind me of other things that I've seen, and which means that a lot of people have seen this to rip it off for stuff now. Yeah. And the soundtrack,
even like hairstyles, like I was like, all right, that reminds me of you know, Bram Stoker's Dracula, like the hairstyle on like the, you know, it like there's just, I mean, obviously it's influenced people, obviously.
Definitely. Right. Yeah. And you're right. That curtain scene where you can't see what's behind the curtain and the two girls are in front and they're scared and they're talking about the noises. It just, your mind goes nuts as to what's behind that curtain.
And what's going to happen next. Like, yes. The whole time you think like, all right, this is going to happen, and then it doesn't. And you're like, oh, okay. It really threw me for a loop there.
Yep.
It is so weird. When I mean, they're in that gymnasium and they're using just regular incandescent lights, you know, while the lights are on. Then when they turn them off, all of a sudden the background light, that red light comes up, and it's just got this real eerie feeling to it.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like almost like impending doom because of the red light.
You're not sure what. Yeah, it's just a warning. It's like the warning lights you hear on submarines or something like that during other movies. You know, just something's coming.
Yeah, definitely. You know what though? It's a shame. I think this movie's going to be totally lost on somebody who's colorblind.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so much visually effective about it. If you removed it and just made this a black and white movie, it would be boring. I just think it would be boring.
Yeah.
So the lights just absolutely made this movie.
There's actually a nod to another Dario Argento film in this movie that preceded it, and that's the bird with the crystal plumage. When Jessica Harper's in the room looking for the person that's running the academy, there's a peacock.
Yes.
That's the bird with the crystal plumage.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So is there any particular scenes in this movie that you guys would say would be your favorite? Like something that really kind of like, oof, like got you?
The supposed barbed wire scene.
Yes, that was going to be mine.
You know, and the hanging. You know, they just leap out at you visually, and that's really what we're talking about here. I mean, as far as a horror film goes, visually these things just jump off the screen at you.
Yeah. What about you, Kimberly?
Well, the first one was actually the window scene where she gets pulled against the window and she's kind of getting crushed. That freaks me out, and now I'm not gonna be able to stand next to a window. But definitely that wire scene, because as she jumps into the wire, you're thinking, oh, whatever, she can just kind of jump over it. But then you see her get entangled and start getting cut by it and stuff, and then all of a sudden I'm like feeling it, and I'm starting to have trouble breathing, that I can't move when I'm watching it. I think that's an excellent effect if it can make you physically feel that whatever the person is feeling.
Yeah.
So that definitely stands out for me too.
Well, I mean, definitely that stands out for me in a couple different ways, like good and bad. But at the same time, I mean, I really enjoyed that scene, but there's some other things about it they could have done differently. The maggots. The maggots get to me just because I don't like bugs in general, and I'm just like, how disgusting is that? Oh, so and they almost didn't look real, but then they're moving, and I'm like, I know the technology wasn't there to make little animatronic maggots at that point.
No, you're right.
They were real, but they were like so white, like they were so like.
They used, I mean, at the time, and they still do this a lot today with. They don't really use real maggots. They use what are called mealworms. Yeah. And it's what you go to a pet store to buy to feed a cricket or something.
I know. I have some in my freezer.
Okay. So there you go.
They're delicious. No, they're for the turtles. But anyways, so was there anything that you would have done differently with this movie if you made this movie?
No.
No?
I honestly don't think that there's...
Well, any scenes that you thought, like, okay, well, maybe this doesn't make a lot of sense. Or they, how come this happened? No, nothing?
No. I mean, to me, I think this to me is, when it comes to Italian horror, this is the perfect movie. I mean,
what about you, Kimberly?
I don't know, because I think for me, and maybe it was just how I was hearing it, but to me it sounded like they were talking about 3 hydras. So I expected, instead of there being the one end woman, that there would be 3 of them, or sisters, or a 3-headed something, and I think hydra, I think water, and I didn't get that feel, but maybe I think it was a blue room, but I think maybe that would have been something I would have changed, either how they referenced her or what she ended up being.
Again, this is the first in a 3 mothers trilogy.
Right.
There you go.
So they're laying the foreground for the other 2 movies.
I don't know if that has something to do with like a translation thing too. I don't know, but because I know that there was a few things, like I'm just like, all right, like it was like one of the first scenes after she gets there and she's in the room. As soon as she walks in the room, the window flies open. And then the lady, she comes right in, like right away. It's like, well, why don't you close it? It's like, it just happened. Like, you give her time to react, kind of deal.
Yes.
I'm just like, all right, calm down. All right. It just, but then with the barbed wire scene, she's there, she's looking at the door, and she didn't look down. Like, she didn't bother to look down to see what was on the floor. And not to mention too, the shot that they showed of the door being open, you see that later on with the barbed wire there, and it wasn't there the first time. So that was just a little dumb thing that I get nitpicky. I'm like, why? So she looked at a door. She didn't look to see what was below her, where she was jumping into. Like,
I think it was. I think with her, it was just a leap of faith of whether if she dies, she dies.
Yeah. But just rewatching it now, like being like overly analyzing, trying to overanalyze things. That's
something to think about.
That's the only scene though. That's the only scene that like that really. I was kind of like, come on.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's something to think about, because I never thought about it. I just accepted the fact that she went for a leap of faith, and
yeah. But yeah, I mean, the moment that she was in, I mean, I don't know. I would tend to look down to see where I was jumping to make sure I wasn't going to be jumping on like.
She was freaked out, though. I mean, who rationalizes when they're freaked out?
I don't know. If I get to that point, I'll let you know if I did.
Okay.
All right. All right. So let's rate this one. So what would you guys give it on a scale from 1 to 10? I don't know if you want to do it as a 1 to 10 as far as Italian horror, or if you want to do it as a straight ahead like horror, or what would you give this?
I honestly, this is easy. This is a 10 for me. I mean, I just love this movie. Everything about it. Inferno is actually my favorite of the three Mothers trilogies, but I do love this movie.
Okay. What about you, Kimberly?
I'm actually probably going to do a lot worse, and I'm going to say this is probably at like a 5. And the only reason is because the movie was great. The movie was visual and everything, but as far as a horror movie, I watched it before going to bed, and I did not dream about it. I did not have nightmares about it, and I think a true good horror movie would have gotten into my psyche so that I would have dreamt about it. So, yeah, unfortunately, I would say 5.
Okay. I mean, taking into account when it came out, the kind of reaction that it got when it came out, being a rated X movie, the visual aspect of it and all these other things. I mean, as far as Italian horror goes, I don't know a ton about Italian horror, but I would say that this is probably like a 7 on my but at the same time too, for Italian horror. But if it was a straight ahead horror movie, I'd probably end up giving it like a 5 as well. Just because it was done very well. It looks awesome. It's got some really good suspense, but at the same time too, I agree with you. It's not like something that I'm going to be thinking about for days and days and days after watching it.
Yeah.
But I mean, then again, it is something that I think people should definitely see. There's obviously a lot of influence here. This movie's influenced quite a few other movies and other, art, and just visually, it's just amazing. So I guess that's it, right?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Cool. All right. Well, Wolfie, where can people find you?
Well, they can find me on YouTube, The 13th Wolfman, Twitter at The 13th Wolfman, Tumblr, 13th Wolfman, The Prowl, and of course every Sunday and Tuesday on the Dorkening.
Kimberly.
That time I took a breath.
You can find me on Twitter at GamerGirlWays, and that's it.
All right. And you can find me, A-Knuckle, on Twitter, Instagram, and Vine, always on the Dorkening as well. And stay tuned for more Horror 101. And also stay tuned for Death House, the feature film directed by our good friend Harrison Smith, who we're basing this list off of. So thank you very much for watching, and have a good day, I guess.
Yeah. Bye.
See you on the flip side. All right.